Hey guys, I'm Anna, and I'm the most popular girl in my school. My fans even made a statue in the women's locker room in my honor. Well, honestly, it's totally awful, but it looks funny. I don't like studies at all. I think for a girl, it's more important to have good looks and just be popular. As for me, I don't have any time to sit over textbooks. First, it'll ruin my eyes and make my complexion look worse. Second, there are so many cool things in the world, like parties, shopping, boys, so I just don't want to spend my lifetime on cramming. But don't think I'm a bimbo or something. Me and my friends thought everything in the smallest detail. We found a couple of nerds who are paid for doing our homework and lab tests. The teachers help us on the tests. Our parents pay them. They're kinda school trustees. In addition, my cheerleading team always gets first prize in all the competitions. And I'm not just an ordinary girl waving pom-poms. I'm the team captain, and the popularity of our entire school depends on me. Anyway, I'm beautiful, rich, famous. The younger girls even share my photos with each other, and I have more than 500,000 followers on Instagram. I'm the queen of the school. My best friends are Mickey and Lara. The three of us can cause a nosebleed even in the oldest and the naughtiest science teacher. Anime lovers will understand. So we're all passing our senior year, and everyone, including me, my friends, and even the mousy nerds really care about is prom. I'm sure I'll be the queen of the school, but my king doesn't know he's mine yet. Chad's the #1 guy in school. He's the captain of the baseball team, but he doesn't seem to notice me at all. I've done absolutely everything I could, but I think he's either blind or well, playing for another team. But at the beginning of the year, I promised myself I would make him go to prom with me no matter what it takes, because I think I love him. Only recently have things started changing in my life. I'll never forget the day when this nightmare started. Anyway, it was just another day at school until it came. Chemistry class. No, this was a kinda expected evil. But it didn't mean we were all happy and hungry for knowledge, as our principal often said. The lesson started in quite a suspicious way. The teacher said now she would divide us into pairs, and we'll work in these groups until the end of the school year. I immediately felt a setup here. We are three beauties, so someone should be left without a partner. Well, we cannot make two couples anyway, but then my thoughts turned to Chad. It would be great if we were together. Like in that movie, Twilight, he's all athletic and handsome, and I'm beautiful and wonderful. Well, definitely I didn't want to be Bella. She's ugly. And we bend over the test tube. He looks at me with his blue eyes and... Anyway, I moved from the harsh reality to beautiful dreams, and I had already fantasized a beautiful wedding on the islands, and the two twin kids when... The teacher called me. I sat down at the desk and the teacher put me together with that nerd, Dora. Dora is the worst thing that can happen to a normal girl. Gray, boring, living just in her books. No one ever wanted to talk to her. Even other nerds avoided her. And me, with her? Why did I deserve this nightmare? Of course, my perfect reputation would overcome this. Well, okay, we've just been put together for a lesson. But what about the eye contact? I would look at her at least once in a while, and the gray sweaters and stupid hairstyles always made me sick. Boo, This is it. The teacher put me with this ugly nerd and pushed the burner closer to her. She scribbled something in her notebook, almost burying her nose in it. Ugh, just such a disgusting sight. I looked at others, envying. My friends had given up the lesson and they were discussing something. Judging by the pic on Mickey's iPhone, it was a new article about the Kardashian family. Mickey also managed to file her nails while reading. Chad and his deskmate also amused themselves, taking advantage that they were not visible behind the column. Who would arrange a lab in the classroom with columns anyway? They were just playing some online shooter, but somehow he saw me and... he winked. He winked at me. Well, or maybe it was a trick of light and it seemed to me, but I wanted it to be true. I hovered, watching Chad smiling. Meanwhile, Dora had already finished the project and punched me jokingly. She could have been more careful. I'm not her pal anyway, But when I saw the finished project, I realized what I was missing while blaming all the world. Dora is an absolute A student. She's smart, and she's not just a nerd. She's a nerd who clearly understands the subject. And I need something to make my grades higher. Well, yeah, I just took her notebook and I didn't ask her permission. But why yelling at me like that? Like I'm really interested in her chicken writings? Or what? Why wouldn't she just let me copy the work and that's it? But Dora went hysterical and took her notebook back. What? Nobody ever refused me. This dummy really went crazy, as if there were Pentagon passwords there instead of ordinary school lab work. I answered back and went through her unwashed hair and smelly sweater, demanding to let me copy her work right now. We started a fight. Though we couldn't really fight, it was still quite a decent fight. I even managed to scratch her hand, the one she was holding the notebook with. Anyway, I even almost won this sloppy, but if somebody ever asked me to repeat it, I would never do it again. I don't know anything about chemistry, and I don't know what Dora put in the test tubes. So I tried myself as a rookie novice terrorist. My elbow met a large flask and boom! Explosion. Bada boom! And the explosion wave threw us a couple of meters away from the desk. All the classroom got covered with soot. Our desk turned into fireworks. And the smell. If it wasn't for the ventilation in the lab, I would have fainted right in front of everyone. I broke my nails, and I tore my new skirt, and my ears hurt. So when the teacher came running at the noise, I immediately demanded to call me an ambulance. But they didn't even pay attention to me because Dora managed to fall so hard that she smashed her stupid head on the next desk. And they called the ambulance, but for her. And they started yelling at me. No, not like that. Yelling. And in a very loud voice. As if I never got hurt. Well, honestly, the explosion was really epic. If we had not blown away from the explosion, the ambulance would hardly ever help us. The rest of the guys got hurt too, but not so much. I was more concerned that everyone will blame me. The teacher immediately asked everyone out and dragged me to the principal. And she started saying I was the one to blame. I almost destroyed the entire class and everyone who was nearby because of my stupidity and my unwillingness to learn. She also made it look like I had calculated everything on purpose. Can you imagine that? That's when my head finally snapped off. I started yelling that the principal should decide herself first, whether I was so stupid or so smart that I planned everything, and that if the teacher had watched the class better, this bang wouldn't have happened. And anyway, I'm the victim here, and they didn't even send me to the hospital, and didn't call the ambulance for me, and my parents would definitely find out about this accident. That's what I said. As for the mixtures in the flasks, I said only Dora knew how to do it. Maybe it was a perfect attempt to kill me. Planned and insidious. But they sent her to the hospital, and they didn't even let me wash my face off. I didn't say anything about copying Dora's work, because it could get me kicked out of school. Anyway, as my dad's lawyer says, attack is the best defense. I don't know what exactly worked, my hysteria or mentioning my parents, who were members of the parents' committee. So they left me alone and sent me to the infirmary. However, there were some victims in this story. First, me and Dora were punished. Our parents had to pay a fine for damaging school property, but this was absolutely ridiculous. The principal called my parents, who immediately paid for everything on the spot. Dora cried in the bathroom, but that was because her parents were poor and didn't have so much money. I even heard she lived in a trailer with her loser mom. Well, those were her problems. If she just let me copy her work, that never would have happened. So let her pay for her own stupidity. And second, the explosion was unexpectedly very helpful for my reputation. I was seriously considered a cool girl who made her way through the explosion. That made my popularity skyrocket. Everyone admired me. They were saying I was most wanted at school and almost carried me on their arms. Since then, by the way, they made a statue in my honor in the women's locker room. But this wasn't the main thing, though it was nice. The real thing was, Chad finally noticed me. He came up to me and asked me out. He said he'd been wanting to talk to me for a long time, and now he knows for sure I'm not one of those stupid cheerleader beauties, but the real school queen. and that the queen needs a king like him. So now, I don't care. Tomorrow, I'm going on a date with the most amazing guy in school, and this is the best thing that could have ever happened to me. But the sight of Dora, swollen from her sobbings, is still spoiling my mood. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next episodes.